the most funny thing to me is to watch a Lomachenko, Lomachenko fan get highly upset or pretend to be upset over the situation with so-called Lomachenko and Devin Haney. You have to keep in mind that Devin Haney has went out here and has achieved something that Lomachenko has tried to do his entire life and has not done it yet. And I believe that Devin Haney has done it at age, 23? Okay, so that's telling in itself. But these Lomosexuals seem to have a hard time accepting that Lomachenko has been showing his yellow streak for some time now, and they just can't accept that he's a coward. There's no way around it. People seem to be upset because they think Lomachenko is not going to get his shot with Devin Haney. So Devin Haney must be scared of Vasily Lomachenko. Just take this low IQ individual right here. Now, this is what I want you to ask yourself. Do you think he had that kind of energy when Lomachenko didn't fight Devin Haney and chose to give him a belt? Where was people like this when Devin Haney was trying to get his shot? Do you see how adamant they are about Lomachenko and Devin Haney fighting now? But boy, if you could go back and check their attitudes when Devin was trying to get a fight with Vasily Lomachenko, and he's been calling him out for years now. But when he tried to get that fight, Lomachenko gave up that belt. How come you guys were not eager to see that fight when Lomachenko could have made that fight happen for you? But since Devin Haney's in the driver's seat, you guys are acting impatient, like this fight should have been happened. What are you waiting for? You're mad at the thought that it might not happen. But where was your energy when the tables were turned and Lomachenko had the power to give you that fight? Were you mad at Lomachenko? Did you call him chicken? Did you say he was making up excuses? It's funny how an undisputed champion can make up an excuse and be scared. But when Lomachenko had a belt, not mentioning Lomachenko was not undisputed, he gave up his belt that set him back on his mission to become undisputed. But none of you guys viewed that as being cowardly or him making up excuses or being scared. You also didn't view franchise champion as being a coward or being scared. But somehow the undisputed champion is somehow scared of a challenger with 2 losses and no belts, and doesn't do anything to raise his to raise his resume other than the fact that you guys call him the Matrix. That's it. See, maybe if Lomachenko needs a tune-up fight, doesn't that tell you that he's probably not the fighter that ESPN and all these other people tried to hype you up to believe? Man, they put this guy on Floyd Mayweather level. Floyd Mayweather would take 2-year breaks and come back and fight a top fighter. So he's obviously not on Floyd Mayweather's level. He already got 2 losses, so he's obviously not on Mayweather's level. Y'all compare this guy to Muhammad Ali. Please note the kind of fighters who get compared to these legends all the time. Just note that. Muhammad Ali fought one of the most dangerous men in boxing, George Foreman. So he can't be nowhere near like Muhammad Ali if you giving up belts to avoid fighting little old young so-called green Devin Haney. There's no way. So you guys just can't face the reality. This is what he's doing. And like people say, with fighters like Spence, it make what you guys talking about with this so-called special fighter, this once-in-a-lifetime fighter, this once-in-a-generation fighter, this fighter who's better than everybody, Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather, Ali, and all that. While he needs a tune-up fight, we have this regular old guy right here named Eroll Spence, who comes off a car crash and doesn't need a tune-up. But the Matrix, the so-called the most special talented fighter that ever laced on a pair of gloves, who shits fairy dust when he slips punches and all this other shit, he does. So maybe, just maybe, he wasn't what ESPN tried to make him to be. Maybe he was never the pound for pound #1 fighter over Terrence Crawford or Canelo. I'm just saying. Because these 2 guys still have accomplished something that he hasn't. That has taken his entire life. And how old is Lomachenko now? Just because he has a glorified amateur record, the key word is amateur. And if he was so good, people don't stay in amateurs that long. They go right to professional. So if you want to go in there and stay and beat up on amateurs and think we're supposed to give you a nod in professional boxing for it, I'm sorry, you were tricked, you were fooled. That was part of that buffoonery. Just like when they told you, oh, Lomachenko is the fastest 3-division champion. That wasn't true, and I got a video proving it. They lied to you. It wasn't true at all. To add to that fact, while we giving this guy with 2 losses and no belts a shot at being undisputed again, keep in mind, he's had multiple chances since he got inside the fucking boxing game. He came in the boxing game with a title shot, lost the title shot, and guess what? Something that you never hear happens in boxing happened. Somebody who lost the title shot turned around and got another back-to-back title shot. You tell me what fighter gets to fight for a title, loses, and his next fight, he fights for another title shot? That sounds like, I don't know, engineered. And this is what you Lomosexuals can't take. See, 9 times out of 10, Lomosexuals is one of these American, insecure white males. Note I said American because I don't want to insult the people over in the UK. They just built a little different than the people that are grown over here. You know, so they feel like they have to defend everything Lomachenko does because they favor that pale skin. Just a fact. Because that's the only reason why somebody like this would say the crap that he's saying. Because if you look at what he's saying, it's an oxymoron statement. If you feel like this now, then when Lomachenko gave up that belt, you must have been furious. And if you wasn't, then that exposes something about these kind of people now, does it? The question people like this need to ask was, when Loma gave up that belt and didn't give you this fight, like you claim as bad as you want it right now, was you just as upset as you are now? Did you call Lomachenko a coward as many times as you're trying to call Devin Haney, who, I can't believe I gotta keep saying this, is the undisputed champion? He went and cleaned up a mess that Lomachenko made. You know, he fought the guy that beat the guy, and then again he fought the guy that beat the guy, and yet still somebody is scared, but not the person that gave up the belt. Now you tell me where that type of bias and prejudice is coming from, because it's not coming from no boxing logic. Y'all gotta stop with this Lomachenko stuff, man. He will never be what y'all want him to be. He's never going to be what you want him to be. At the end of the day, he's a good, decent little fighter. That's all he has ever been. I'm sorry you let the promotional machine hype you up and feed you false narratives. But in case 2 losses haven't helped you figure it out yet, in case ESPN erasing his loss haven't helped you figure it out yet, in case him giving up his belt haven't helped you figure it out yet, Lomachenko is a curry chicken. Sorry, it is what it is. In case you haven't figured it out yet. Now you can see why there was never no Pacquiao fight. Now you can see why Pacquiao would have fought Loma, but wouldn't fight Terrence Bud Crawford. Yeah, because at the end of the day, you always knew who pound for pound #1 was.